In the next few minutes, you're going to hear evidence, confessions, and hidden details most people never knew existed. If you love true crime, real interrogation breakdowns, and cases that haunt the mind, every killer has a moment where the mask slips. Every crime has a detail that refuses to stay hidden. And every secret, eventually claws its way to the surface. If you want more stories that expose the truth behind calm faces and silent rooms, support the channel with a like and subscribe. It seems small, but it keeps this darkness lit for those searching for answers. Welcome to GraveSecret. Let's begin. It began on a quiet Monday morning, the kind of morning where the world feels half awake and nothing seems out of place. But for the Frederick Police Department, the day would mark the beginning of one of the darkest investigations in Colorado history. Officer Coonrod's bodycam flickered on at 8:30 a.m., recording the very first moments as he stepped onto the porch of the Watts family home. The camera captured Chris Watts almost instantly, standing rigid, arms folded tightly across his chest, his face wearing a mask of confusion that somehow didn't match the calmness of his voice. He said his wife, Sean Ann, and their 2 daughters were missing. He said he didn't know where they went. But the lens saw something else. It saw the stiffness in his shoulders, the rapid blinking, the nervous swallowing he couldn't hide. Even the way he stepped aside for the officer felt rehearsed, like a man playing a role he hadn't fully memorized. Inside the house, the air felt unnaturally still. Shanann's purse was on the counter, her shoes by the door, her phone plugged in as if she had just stepped out for a moment. But there was no movement, no sound, no sign of disturbance. And yet, something felt wrong. The camera captured tiny details that were overlooked back then, details that, in 2025, new forensic technology would bring back into the spotlight. As the officer questioned Chris, the audio picked up something faint, almost impossible to detect with the human ear. A whisper. A soft, trembling voice that didn't belong to Chris, the officer, or the neighbor who would soon join them. At first, investigators dismissed it as static. But years later, enhanced analysis revealed it wasn't static at all. It was a voice, fragile, distant, and deeply out of place. While we uncover this chilling new detail, take a second to like this video, subscribe to GraveSecret, and share it with others who follow true crime. Because what you're about to hear will challenge everything you thought you knew about the Watts case. The whisper was only the beginning. And it came from somewhere inside the house. When investigators enhanced the whisper from the officer's body cam, a cold stillness washed through the analysis room. The sound was faint, so faint it had blended into the background for years, but when isolated, it became unmistakably human. It wasn't a noise from outside, nor the hum of machinery, nor an audio glitch. It was a voice. Soft. Shaking. Almost like someone trying to speak through fear. Some experts said it sounded like a woman. Others claimed it resembled a small child struggling to form a word. But the most disturbing part was its timing. The whisper occurred at a moment when Chris Watts stood alone on his porch, before the officer joined him, before the neighbor appeared, before anyone else stepped into the frame. Investigators rewatched the footage again and again. At the exact second the whisper was recorded, Chris's body changed. His shoulders pulled back. His foot tapped nervously. He glanced not at the officer, not at the street, but toward the inside of the house, the same house he claimed his family had suddenly vanished from without explanation. In hindsight, this moment now feels less like confusion and more like fear. Not fear of a crime being discovered, but fear that someone inside might reveal the truth he tried to bury. Then came the second discovery. In the millisecond before the whisper, the audio caught a faint thud from deeper inside the home. Too soft to draw attention back in 2018, but now amplified, it struck investigators like a heartbeat under the floorboards, a reminder that the story wasn't as silent as it once seemed. Even the officer, without realizing it, shifted his stance and scanned the house, as if his instincts heard something his ears couldn't. As this new evidence spread online, true crime communities exploded with theories, rewatches, and debates. And if you're watching this premiere right now, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to GraveSecret so more people can weigh in on what we're uncovering. Because what you're about to see next doesn't just challenge the timeline, it shatters it completely. The whisper and the thud were warnings. And together, they point towards something, or someone, still inside that house. As investigators dug deeper into the whisper and the mysterious thud, they began reanalyzing every millisecond of the police body cam footage. It was during this frame-by-frame review that something truly chilling surfaced. At first, it looked like nothing more than a blur, a faint shift of light in the reflection of the officer's body cam lens while standing near the base of the stairs. But when slowed down, sharpened, and analyzed, that blur formed a shape. A human-sized shadow moving across the upstairs landing. 37 seconds before Chris suggested leaving the house to check the neighbor's camera. In the enhanced footage, the shadow seems to glide from one side of the hallway to the other, smooth and deliberate. It doesn't resemble the officer, it doesn't resemble Chris, and it doesn't match the position of any light source in the home. Shadows behave predictably. They follow angles, they respond to movement. This one appeared to move with its own intent. Investigators compared every reflection, every angle of light, every object in the house. Still, nothing explained it. But what made the moment even more disturbing was Chris's reaction. At the exact second the shadow crossed the landing, Chris glanced upward. His breath hitched. His jaw tightened. For a heartbeat, his carefully rehearsed calm cracked wide open, revealing a flash of raw panic before he quickly masked it with forced concern. This wasn't the expression of a worried husband. It was the expression of a man terrified that something unseen had just given him away. The more investigators studied the footage, the more the shadow's movement aligned with the whisper captured earlier. The same part of the house. The same window of time. The same chilling suggestion, the house wasn't empty. Something, or someone, was still moving inside it. As this discovery circulated among true crime analysts and online communities, thousands rewatched the original footage, some claiming they felt uneasy even back then without knowing why. And if you're watching this now, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to GraveSecret, and share your thoughts, because what comes next is even more disturbing. The shadow wasn't the final clue. It was the doorway leading to a discovery. The discovery of the moving shadow forced investigators to return to the Watts home with a new mindset. They no longer viewed the body cam footage as a simple record of the officer's visit, now it felt like a silent witness, hiding clues in the edges of every frame. Using the exact timestamp of the shadow's movement, analysts synchronized it with the officer's microphone channels. That was when they heard it, a faint click, soft and deliberate, the unmistakable sound of a door latch shifting somewhere upstairs. It wasn't loud enough to draw attention in real time, but in enhanced audio it echoed like a warning, confirming that the shadow wasn't a trick of the light. Something had moved. Something had opened a door. This led investigators to apply new 2025 thermal imaging algorithms to the footage. Although bodycams don't record heat signatures, they do capture tiny distortions in light that advanced software can interpret. When the upstairs landing was processed, experts froze at what appeared, a warm imprint smeared across the banister. A handprint. Fresh. Too small to belong to an adult. It matched the size of a child's hand. The program traced the direction of the smudge, pointing toward the room where Bella and Celeste slept. The realization hit like thunder: someone, possibly one of the children, may have been moving inside the house while police were present. And Chris seemed to know. When officers went upstairs, he stayed unusually close, stepping between them and the bedroom doors, gently steering them away without looking suspicious. His breathing tightened. His answers became shorter. He glanced repeatedly toward the hallway where the shadow had been seen. This new evidence didn't just raise questions, it detonated them. Online communities erupted, investigators revisited statements, and experts began debating whether the original timeline was wrong from the start. While we uncover this chilling possibility together, remember to like this video and subscribe to GraveSecret so more people can witness what we're about to reveal. Because in the final chapter, everything, every whisper, every shadow, every trace of warmth, comes together in one devastating truth: the timeline Chris gave may have never been real at all. The final hours of the investigation unfolded like a tightening noose, each new piece of evidence pulling Chris what's closer to an unescapable truth. Detectives had learned long ago that guilty men don't crumble all at once, they fracture slowly, piece by piece, like a wall whose cracks widen until the entire structure collapses. And that was exactly what was happening to Chris. His calm exterior was beginning to betray the storm raging beneath. His voice trembled at the edges, his eyes darted away from direct contact, and every explanation sounded less convincing than the one before it. The investigation room seemed smaller now, almost suffocating, as though the walls themselves were pushing him toward the truth he didn't want to face. The psychological pressure was deliberate. Detectives were no longer gently probing, they were peeling back the layers of his story with precision, exposing contradictions one after another. Every time Chris tried to pivot, they were ready. Every time he tried to place blame elsewhere, they countered with another piece of evidence he couldn't explain away. The audio recorder on the table captured every moment, every shaky breath, every pause that lasted 1 second too long. And as the tension built, the detective leaned in, reminding him softly that honesty, no matter how painful, was the only way forward. "Chris," he said, "the truth is coming. With or without you." As Chris shifted uncomfortably, the silence stretched. Moments like this are where viewers of crime stories instinctively lean in closer, and if you're listening now, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share to keep this channel growing and bringing you more real-life mysteries just like this one. The story you're hearing now is one of the most haunting ever recorded, and the final moments are about to reveal why. The breakthrough came when the polygraph examiner returned with the results. She placed the papers gently on the table, her expression a mixture of professionalism and quiet sadness. Chris had failed, not just by a small margin, but unmistakably. As she explained what the results meant, something shifted in the room. The balance of power was no longer equal. The detectives had the truth in their hands, all that remained was for Chris to speak it aloud. And for the first time, he looked defeated. Not emotional, not angry, just empty. It was as though the mask he wore finally cracked, revealing a man cornered not by force, but by the weight of his own actions. When he finally opened his mouth, the confession didn't come out cleanly. It stumbled, twisted, reaching for excuses and half-truths, trying desperately to keep himself from being completely swallowed by the reality he'd created. He blamed Shanann. He framed himself as a man reacting in a moment of rage. But the detectives knew the truth ran deeper than these shaky claims. They knew what the crime scene, the timelines, and the emotional patterns suggested. They knew he was still protecting himself from the full magnitude of what he had done. Still, That moment, the moment he cracked, was the turning point. The darkness that had shrouded the case was finally lifting. And as he whispered fragments of his confession, the investigators began stitching together the tragic, brutal sequence of events that had stunned the world. A father who should have protected his family became the one who destroyed it. A husband who could have walked away chose instead to erase everyone who depended on him. And a man who smiled for social media had been hiding a storm no one saw until it was too late. This was the final chapter of the interrogation, but not the final chapter of the story. Justice would follow, and the world would remember this case as a chilling reminder that evil doesn't always arrive with a warning, sometimes it comes disguised as the person standing right beside you.